The vast expanse of space stretched out before Zara Chen as her transport ship approached the Interstellar Combat Academy. The massive structure floated serenely in the orbit of Nexus Prime, a bustling hub world at the heart of the Galactic Alliance. Zara's heart raced with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. At just 22 years old, she was about to become the first human ever admitted to the most prestigious martial arts institution in the known universe. As the ship docked, Zara gathered her few belongings and took a deep breath. The Academy's reputation was legendary, producing the finest warriors and peacekeepers for countless alien civilizations. Humans, being relative newcomers to the galactic stage, had never before been considered for admission. But Zara's exceptional talents in Earth's martial arts had caught the attention of the Academy's scouts, earning her this unprecedented opportunity. The airlock hissed open, revealing a reception area teeming with alien life forms of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Zara stepped forward, her eyes wide with wonder. A tall, willowy being with iridescent skin glided towards her, its four arms moving in graceful patterns. "Welcome, Zara Chen of Earth," the being said, its voice a melodious hum. "I am Senla, your guide for the orientation process. Please follow me." As they moved through the bustling corridors, Zara couldn't help but stare at the dizzying array of alien species. Some floated on cushions of energy, others skittered on multiple legs, and a few seemed to phase in and out of reality itself. The Academy hosts students from over 500 different species, Senla explained, noticing Zara's fascination. Each brings their own unique martial arts traditions and physical capabilities. Here, we seek to understand and synthesize these diverse styles into a unified galactic combat philosophy. They arrived at a vast training hall where hundreds of alien students were engaged in various forms of combat practice. Zara's jaw dropped as she witnessed feats that defied her understanding of physics. A group of crystalline beings were locked in a dazzling dance of light and energy, their movements creating intricate patterns in the air. Nearby, a massive tentacled creature demonstrated impossible feats of flexibility and strength against an opponent made entirely of living flames. "This is incredible," Zara breathed, her mind struggling to process the scene before her. Senla's skin rippled with amusement. "Indeed, but remember, Zara Chen, that each of these students once stood where you stand now, overwhelmed by the diversity of galactic combat arts. Your journey begins here, with open eyes and an open mind." As they continued their tour, Zara's initial awe began to mix with a growing sense of doubt. How could she, a simple human, hope to compete with beings capable of such extraordinary feats? Her years of training in kung fu, karate, and mixed martial arts suddenly seemed quaint and primitive in comparison. Their path took them to a quieter section of the academy, where a group of small, fuzzy creatures were engaged in what appeared to be a form of moving meditation. Their bodies flowed like water, defying gravity in ways that made Zara's head spin. "Ah, the Zorlak Masters," Senla said softly. "They teach us that true strength comes not from physical power, but from harmony with the cosmic energy that flows through all living things." Zara watched, mesmerized, as the Zorlak's movements created shimmering patterns in the air around them. She felt a strange tingling sensation in her body, as if something deep within her was resonating with their ethereal dance. Suddenly, one of the Zorlaks opened its eyes, all 7 of them, and fixed its gaze on Zara. In that moment, she felt a connection, a flash of understanding that transcended language and species. The creature beckoned her forward with a gentle wave of its tendril. Hesitantly, Zara stepped into the practice area. The Zorlak master gestured for her to mirror its movements. Taking a deep breath, Zara began to follow along, her body awkwardly attempting to mimic the fluid motions. At first, she felt clumsy and out of place. But as she continued, something shifted. The tingling sensation grew stronger, and Zara found herself moving with increasing grace and ease. The air around her began to shimmer faintly, responding to her movements in a way she had never experienced before. For a brief, exhilarating moment, Zara felt as if she were tapping into something vast and ancient, a wellspring of power that connected her to the very fabric of the universe. Then, as quickly as it had come, the sensation faded, leaving her breathless and dizzy. The Zorlak master chirped approvingly, its tendrils waving in what Zara hoped was a gesture of encouragement. Senla, watching from the sidelines, seemed equally impressed. Most interesting, the guide hummed. It appears you have a natural affinity for cosmic energy manipulation, Zara Chen. This is a rare gift, especially in a species as young as humanity. As they left the Zorlak training area, Zara felt a renewed sense of purpose. Perhaps she did have something unique to offer after all. Her human perspective, combined with this unexpected sensitivity to cosmic energies, might allow her to bridge the gap between Earth's martial arts and the more advanced techniques of the galaxy. Their tour concluded at the student dormitories, a honeycomb-like structure that seemed to defy Euclidean geometry. Senla showed Zara to her quarters, a small but comfortable room that would adapt to her physiological needs. "Rest well, Zara Chen," Senla said. "Tomorrow, your true training begins. Remember, the path of a cosmic warrior is not just about mastering techniques, but about understanding the interconnectedness of all things. Your greatest challenges and your greatest growth will come from learning to see beyond the limitations of your human perspective." As Senla glided away, Zara sat on her morphing bed, her mind reeling from the day's experiences. She thought of her family back on Earth, of the years of dedication that had brought her to this point, and of the incredible journey that lay ahead. Looking out her window at the star-studded expanse of space, Zara made a silent vow. She would not just survive at the academy, she would thrive. She would learn, adapt, and push the boundaries of what was possible. And perhaps in doing so, she would help forge a new understanding between humanity and the vast, complex tapestry of galactic civilization. With renewed determination, Zara began to unpack her few possessions. Among them was a small worn book, the Tao Te Ching, a gift from her grandfather. As she held it, she realized that its ancient wisdom might be more relevant than ever in this new cosmic context. "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step," Zara murmured to herself, reciting one of her favorite passages. She smiled, amending the quote in her mind. Or in this case, a single light year. As the artificial day cycle of the academy dimmed to simulate night, Zara settled into her new home among the stars. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new wonders, and the first steps on her path to becoming a true cosmic warrior. With that thought, she drifted off to sleep, her dreams filled with shimmering energy and the infinite possibilities that awaited her in the cosmic dodo. The unorthodox techniques. The harsh buzz of an alien alarm jolted Zara awake. For a moment, she panicked, forgetting where she was. Then reality came flooding back. She was at the Interstellar Combat Academy, about to begin her first day of training. As Zara made her way to the main training hall, she couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. The corridors were alive with activity, alien students of all forms hurrying to their respective classes. She tried to steel herself for what lay ahead, reminding herself that she had earned her place here. The training hall was a vast, open space that seemed to shift and change depending on where you looked. Zara joined a group of new students, noting that she was the only human among them. An imposing figure stood before them, Grandmaster Ziklox, a being composed of swirling energy contained within a vaguely humanoid form. "Welcome, initiates," Ziklox's voice resonated in their minds rather than their ears. "Today, we begin your journey into the cosmic arts. Forget what you think you know about combat. Here, you will learn to harness the very fabric of the universe itself." The first lesson began with what Ziklox called energy attunement. The students were instructed to meditate, reaching out with their senses to feel the flow of cosmic energy around them. Zara closed her eyes, trying to recapture the sensation she had experienced with the Zorlak master the day before. At first, there was nothing. Zara could hear the soft rustling and humming of her alien classmates, but she felt no cosmic energy. Frustration began to build within her. She was supposed to have a talent for this. Why couldn't she feel anything? Hours passed, and while her classmates began to show signs of progress, glowing faintly or levitating slightly, Zara remained firmly rooted to the ground, feeling more human and out of place than ever. As the class ended, Cyclops approached her. "Patience, young human," the Grandmaster's thoughts echoed in her mind. "Your species is new to these arts. It may take time for you to overcome your inherent limitations." Zara nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. As she left the training hall, she overheard a group of alien students whispering and casting glances in her direction. Though she couldn't understand their language, their tone made their sentiment clear. What was a primitive human doing here? Days turned into weeks, and Zara struggled to keep up with her alien peers. In physical combat classes, she found herself outmatched by beings with far greater strength, speed, and even extra limbs. In energy manipulation exercises, she could barely produce a flicker, while others created dazzling displays of cosmic power. One particularly frustrating day, after failing yet again to perform a basic energy projection technique, Zara found herself alone in one of the Academy's meditation gardens. Tears of frustration stung her eyes as she punched a nearby wall, the impact reverberating through her body. "Your form is off," a voice said from behind her. Zara whirled around to see a tall, insectoid being watching her. She recognized him as Crixtol, one of the top students in their year. His compound eyes glittered with what she thought might be amusement. "What do you want?" Zara snapped, in no mood for mockery. Crixtol chittered, a sound Zara had come to recognize as laughter. "To understand," he said, his mandibles clicking as he formed the words. "You humans are a curiosity. You lack the physical advantages of many species, you have no natural connection to cosmic energies, and yet, you are admitted here. Why?" Zara sighed, her anger deflating. "I don't know anymore. I thought I was special, that I had something to offer. But now—" Crixtol stepped closer, his head tilting in a gesture of curiosity. "Show me," he said. "Show me how humans fight." Surprised by the request, Zara hesitated for a moment. Then, taking a deep breath, she began to move through a complex kung fu form. As she flowed from one stance to another, she felt a familiar sense of calm wash over her. This at least she knew she could do well. As she finished, she looked up to see Crixtol studying her intently. "Interesting," he chittered. "Your movements, they channel energy, but in a way I've never seen before. It's inefficient, yet somehow effective." "What do you mean?" Zara asked, intrigued. Crixtol's antennae twitched as he considered how to explain. "Most species channel cosmic energy directly, shaping it with their will. But you use your body as a conduit, shaping the energy through physical movement. It's unorthodox, but there's potential there." For the first time in weeks, Zara felt a glimmer of hope. "Can you show me how you do it?" she asked. Crixtol hesitated, then nodded. "Observe," he said, and began to move. His movements were alien and beautiful, his limbs creating complex geometric patterns in the air. As he moved, the space around him seemed to ripple and distort. Zara watched in awe, her mind racing. She could see similarities to her own martial arts, the focus on balance, the importance of breath control, the flow of movement. But there was something more, something just beyond her grasp. "I have an idea," she said suddenly. "Can we try something?" Over the next few hours, Zara and Crixtol experimented, blending human martial arts with alien energy manipulation techniques. It was frustrating at first. Their styles seemed fundamentally incompatible, but slowly they began to find points of convergence. Zara discovered that by incorporating the fluid, geometric movements of Crixtol's style into her kung fu forms, she could begin to sense the cosmic energy around her. It wasn't the direct manipulation her classmates performed, but rather a subtle guidance of the energy through her physical movements. As the Academy's artificial day cycle began to dim, Zara stood in the center of the garden, moving through a form that was neither entirely human nor alien. As she flowed from one stance to another, she felt the familiar tingle of energy. But this time, it didn't fade. Instead, it grew stronger, until the air around her shimmered faintly with cosmic power. Crixtal watched, his compound eyes reflecting the ethereal light. Fascinating, he chittered. It's not as powerful as traditional techniques, but it's something entirely new. Zara grinned, exhilarated by her breakthrough. It's a start, she said. Thank you, Crixtal. I couldn't have done this without you. The insectoid being's antennae twitched in what Zara had come to recognize as a smile. Perhaps, he said, there is something to learn from humans after all. As they parted ways, Zara felt a renewed sense of purpose. She might not be able to match her alien classmates in raw power or innate abilities, but she had something they didn't, a unique perspective that allowed her to approach cosmic martial arts in an entirely new way. The next day, in energy manipulation class, Zara didn't try to emulate her classmates' techniques. Instead, she moved through her new hybrid form, blending kung fu with the alien geometries she had learned from Crixtal. To her delight and the astonishment of her classmates, she managed to create a small but stable orb of shimmering energy. Grandmaster Zeklox observed her performance with great interest. Most unusual, the energy being commented. Your technique is unorthodox, but undeniably effective. It seems, Zara Chen, that you have found your path. From that day forward, Zara threw herself into her training with renewed vigor. She sought out students from different species, learning bits and pieces of their techniques and incorporating them into her evolving style. Some, like Crixtal, were intrigued by her approach and eager to exchange knowledge. Others were dismissive or even hostile, seeing her human techniques as primitive and unworthy. But Zara persevered. She spent long hours in the Academy's vast libraries, studying the theoretical underpinnings of cosmic energy manipulation and looking for ways to bridge the gap between human martial philosophy and alien cosmic techniques. As weeks turned to months, Zara's progress accelerated. Her unique fusion of styles allowed her to hold her own in sparring matches against opponents with far greater natural abilities. In energy manipulation classes, she might not have been the most powerful, but she often proved to be the most creative, finding novel solutions to complex cosmic puzzles. Not everyone was impressed by her progress, however. A group of elite students, led by a haughty energy being named Voxlith, saw Zara's unorthodox techniques as an affront to their traditions. They began to go out of their way to challenge her, pushing her to her limits in every class. One day, after a particularly grueling sparring session, Voxlith cornered Zara in a hallway. The energy being's form crackled with barely contained power as it loomed over her. You don't belong here, human. Voxlith's thoughts seared into Zara's mind. Your primitive techniques are an insult to the cosmic arts. You will never be one of us. Zara stood her ground, meeting the energy being's gaze steadily. I'm not trying to be one of you, she replied calmly. I'm trying to be the best version of myself, and in doing so, maybe I can show that there's more than one way to connect with the cosmos. Voxlith's form flared dangerously, but before the confrontation could escalate, a familiar chittering sound interrupted them. Crixtal stepped between Zara and Voxlith, his normally jovial demeanor replaced by a stern stance. Enough, Voxlith, Crixtal said firmly. Zara has earned her place here, just like the rest of us. Her techniques may be different, but isn't the point of the Academy to expand our understanding of the cosmic arts? Voxlith's form pulsed with angry energy for a moment longer, then subsided. Without another word, the energy being departed, leaving Zara and Crixtal alone in the hallway. Thanks, Zara said, letting out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. You didn't have to do that. Crixtal's antennae twitched in amusement. Of course I did. We're friends, aren't we? Besides, someone needs to keep an eye on you and your crazy human ideas. As they walked together towards their next class, Zara felt a warm sense of belonging. She might still be the only human at the Academy, but she was no longer alone. With friends like Crixtal by her side and her unique approach to the cosmic arts, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Little did she know that her greatest test, and her greatest opportunity to prove the value of her unorthodox techniques was just around the corner. The Tournament of Realms. The Interstellar Combat Academy buzzed with excitement as Grandmaster Zerklox made a momentous announcement. The Millennial Tournament of Realms would soon commence. This legendary competition brought together the greatest martial artists from across the galaxy, showcasing their skills and determining the next generation of cosmic peacekeepers. Zara's heart raced at the news. Despite her progress, she knew she was still an underdog. But the tournament represented a chance to prove herself and the value of her unique human-alien hybrid techniques. As preparations began, Zara intensified her training. She spent long hours with Crixtol and other alien friends, refining her fusion of Earth martial arts with cosmic energy manipulation. Her style continued to evolve, incorporating elements from dozens of alien traditions while retaining its distinctly human core. The Academy formed teams for the tournament, and to Zara's surprise, she was selected to join an elite squad. Her teammates included Crixtol, a graceful aquatic being named Lura, and a sentient crystal entity called Zix. Each brought unique abilities to the team, but it was Zara's adaptability that often proved crucial in their training sessions. As the tournament approached, tension at the Academy reached a fever pitch. Voxlith and his followers continued to dismiss Zara's techniques, but others began to take notice of her unconventional yet effective approach. The opening ceremony of the Tournament of Realms was a dazzling display of cosmic energy and martial prowess. Teams from across the galaxy gathered, each demonstrating their unique cultural traditions and combat styles. Zara stood proudly with her team, a lone human among the vast array of alien species. As they stepped into the arena for their first match, she took a deep breath, centering herself. Win or lose, she was determined to show the galaxy what humans, with their adaptability and unique perspective, could bring to the cosmic arts. The crowd roared as the match began, and Zara moved into her hybrid stance, ready to face whatever challenges the tournament would bring. Cosmic Conspiracy. As the Tournament of Realms progressed, Zara and her team advanced through the ranks, surprising many with their unorthodox but effective strategies. Their success was due in large part to Zara's ability to adapt on the fly, blending her teammates' diverse abilities with her own hybrid techniques. However, as they delved deeper into the competition, Zara began to notice strange inconsistencies. Some matches seemed oddly one-sided, with favored teams facing suspiciously easy opponents. During one particularly intense bout, she caught a glimpse of a judge's datapad, displaying information that didn't match the public tournament brackets. Intrigued and slightly alarmed, Zara shared her observations with her teammates. Crixtol's antennae twitched with concern, while Lura's bioluminescent patterns flickered anxiously. Zix, ever the logical one, suggested they gather more evidence before jumping to conclusions. Late one night, as the team was strategizing for their upcoming match, they overheard a heated conversation in a nearby corridor. Peering around the corner, they saw Voxlith engaged in a tense discussion with a hooded figure they didn't recognize. "The human and her team are becoming a problem," Voxlith hissed. "They're disrupting the carefully laid plans. If they advance much further, the entire operation could be at risk." The hooded figure's voice was low and menacing. "Then ensure they don't advance. We've invested too much in this tournament to let some primitive earthling and her motley crew upset the balance of power." As the conspirators moved away, Zara and her team huddled together, their minds racing. It was clear now that the tournament was being manipulated, but to what end? Over the next few days, as they continued to compete, the team also began a covert investigation. Zix used their crystalline structure to eavesdrop on private conversations, while Lura's aquatic abilities allowed her to access restricted areas undetected. Crixtol's network of insectoid friends proved invaluable for gathering gossip and rumors. Cosmic Conspiracy. As the Tournament of Realms progressed, Zara and her team advanced through the ranks, surprising many with their unorthodox but effective strategies. Their success was due in large part to Zara's ability to adapt on the fly, blending her teammates' diverse abilities with her own hybrid techniques. However, as they delved deeper into the competition, Zara began to notice strange inconsistencies. Some matches seemed oddly one-sided, with favored teams facing suspiciously easy opponents. During one particularly intense bout, she caught a glimpse of a judge's datapad, displaying information that didn't match the public tournament brackets. Intrigued and slightly alarmed, Zara shared her observations with her teammates. Crixtal's antennae twitched with concern, while Lura's bioluminescent patterns flickered anxiously. Zix, ever the logical one, suggested they gather more evidence before jumping to conclusions. Late one night, as the team was strategizing for their upcoming match, they overheard a heated conversation in a nearby corridor. Peering around the corner, they saw Voxlith engaged in a tense discussion with a hooded figure they didn't recognize. "The human and her team are becoming a problem," Voxlith hissed. "They're disrupting the carefully laid plans. If they advance much further, the entire operation could be at risk." The hooded figure's voice was low and menacing. "Then ensure they don't advance. We've invested too much in this tournament to let some primitive earthling and her motley crew upset the balance of power." As the conspirators moved away, Zara and her team huddled together, their minds racing. It was clear now that the tournament was being manipulated, but to what end? Over the next few days, as they continued to compete, the team also began a covert investigation. Zix used their crystalline structure to eavesdrop on private conversations, while Lura's aquatic abilities allowed her to access restricted areas undetected. Crixtal's network of insectoid friends proved invaluable for gathering gossip and rumors. Slowly, a disturbing picture emerged. The Tournament of Realms, it seemed, was more than just a martial arts competition. It was a carefully orchestrated event designed to reshape the political landscape of the galaxy. The winners would be granted positions of significant influence in the Galactic Alliance, allowing whoever controlled the tournament to essentially handpick the next generation of cosmic leaders. As they dove deeper, they uncovered connections to a shadowy organization known as the Void Conclave, a group rumored to be comprised of ancient, powerful beings who sought to maintain their control over galactic affairs from behind the scenes. The team faced a dilemma. Should they report their findings to the Academy authorities? But what if the conspiracy reached even into the highest levels of the institution? Or should they continue to compete, hoping to advance far enough to disrupt the Void Conclave's plans from within? After much debate, they decided on a two-pronged approach. They would continue to compete, but also seek out potential allies among the other teams and Academy staff who might not be part of the conspiracy. Their next match proved to be their most challenging yet. They faced a team that seemed to anticipate their every move, countering Zara's adaptive strategies with uncanny precision. It was only through a last-minute, desperate gambit, blending Zara's energy-infused kung fu with Zix's crystalline refraction abilities, that they managed to eke out a victory. As they left the arena, battered but triumphant, they were approached by an unexpected figure, Grandmaster Zyclox himself. Most impressive, the energy being's thoughts resonated in their minds. "Your team's unconventional approach continues to yield fascinating results." Zara exchanged glances with her teammates. This could be their chance to alert the Grandmaster to the conspiracy, but it could also be a trap if Cyclops was involved. Taking a deep breath, Zara decided to take a risk. "Grandmaster," she said carefully, "we've noticed some irregularities in the tournament, things that don't quite add up." Zyklok's energy form pulsed, a sign Zara had come to recognize as intense interest. "Indeed," the Grandmaster prompted, "please elaborate." Over the next hour, in a secluded meditation chamber, Zara and her team laid out everything they had discovered about the tournament manipulation and the Void Conclave. As they spoke, Zyklok's energy form fluctuated through a range of patterns they had never seen before. When they finished, there was a long, tense silence. Finally, Zyklok spoke, their mental voice heavy with what seemed like a mixture of sadness and determination. I have long suspected something was amiss, the Grandmaster admitted, but the extent of this conspiracy, it is graver than I had feared. You have shown great courage in bringing this to me. Ziklox's form solidified, taking on a more defined shape than Zara had ever seen. We must tread carefully. The Void Conclave's influence runs deep, and a direct confrontation could have catastrophic consequences for the galaxy. The Grandmaster outlined a plan. Zara and her team would continue to compete, serving as a visible distraction. Meanwhile, Ziklox would work behind the scenes, using their authority to quietly investigate and gather allies among the other Grandmasters. As they left the meditation chamber, Zara felt the weight of the galaxy on her shoulders. What had started as a chance to prove herself had become a mission to save the cosmic order itself. She looked at her teammates, Crixtol, Lura, and Zix, seeing in their alien faces the same mix of determination and apprehension she felt. "Whatever happens," she said softly, "we're in this together." As they walked back to their quarters, preparing for the battles to come, both in the tournament arena and in the shadowy war against the Void Conclave, Zara couldn't help but marvel at the twist of fate. Here she was, a human from Earth, standing with allies from across the cosmos, about to fight for the future of the galaxy. With a small smile, she remembered the words of her old martial arts master back on Earth. "The greatest victories are those that unite us, that show us we're all part of something larger than ourselves." Never had those words rung truer than now, as Zara and her team steeled themselves for the challenges ahead, ready to show the galaxy the true power of unity in diversity. The ultimate fusion. The grand arena of the Interstellar Combat Academy pulsed with cosmic energy as Zara and her team faced off against the Void Conclave's champions in the tournament's final match. The air crackled with tension, both from the impending battle and the knowledge that the fate of galactic politics hung in the balance. Across the arena stood their opponents, a team of seasoned warriors handpicked by the Void Conclave. At their center was Voxlith, his energy form roiling with dark power. The stakes couldn't be higher. Victory here would not only win the tournament, but also expose the Conclave's manipulation to the entire galaxy. As the signal to begin echoed through the arena, Zara locked eyes with her teammates. Crixtol's compound eyes glittered with determination. Lura's bioluminescence pulsed in rhythm with Zara's heartbeat, and Zix's crystalline form refracted the arena's lights in a dazzling display. In that moment, Zara felt a connection deeper than anything she'd experienced before. The battle erupted in a spectacular display of cosmic martial arts. Voxlith and his team unleashed devastating attacks, their movements honed by millennia of tradition. But Zara and her friends responded with something entirely new, a seamless fusion of their diverse abilities, guided by Zara's adaptive human ingenuity. Zara moved like water, her kung fu forms blending with alien geometries as she channeled cosmic energy through her body. Crixtol's insectoid speed complemented her movements, while Lura's fluid grace and Zix's crystalline defenses created an ever-shifting, impenetrable formation. As the fight reached its crescendo, Zara felt a surge of cosmic power unlike anything she'd experienced before. In a moment of clarity, she realized it wasn't just her own energy. She was channeling the combined power of her entire team, their diverse abilities harmonizing into something greater than the sum of its parts. With a final decisive movement that blended techniques from a dozen worlds, Zara unleashed a wave of pure cosmic energy. It swept across the arena, overwhelming Voxlith and his team in a dazzling display of light and power. As the energy dissipated, a hush fell over the arena. Voxlith and his team lay defeated, their dark powers neutralized by the pure, harmonious energy of Zara's fusion technique. The crowd erupted in cheers as the realization set in. They had witnessed something truly revolutionary. Grandmaster Ziklox appeared in the center of the arena, his energy form radiant with approval. Witnesses from across the cosmos, his thoughts boomed. "You have seen today not just the victory of a team, but the birth of a new era in cosmic martial arts." An era where diversity is strength, where the unique perspectives of all species can combine to create something greater than we ever imagined. As Zara and her team stood victorious, the truth of the Void Conclave's manipulation was revealed to all. The galaxy buzzed with the news, and the foundations of the old power structures began to crumble. In the days that followed, as the Interstellar Combat Academy began the process of reform, Zara found a quiet moment with her team. Looking at her friends, a human, an insectoid, an aquatic being, and a living crystal, she smiled. "You know," she said, "back on Earth, we have a saying, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I never truly understood what that meant until now." Crystal chittered in agreement, his antennae twitching happily. "Perhaps," he mused, "this is the true purpose of the cosmic arts, not to elevate one tradition above others, but to find the harmony between all." As they looked out at the stars, Zara felt a sense of limitless possibility. They had not only saved the galaxy from shadowy manipulation, but had also opened up new frontiers in cosmic martial arts. The human perspective, once dismissed as primitive, had proven to be the key to unlocking a new level of galactic unity. "So," Lura bubbled, her bioluminescence pulsing with excitement, "what's our next adventure?" Zara grinned, her eyes twinkling with a reflection of distant stars. "Who knows? But whatever it is, we'll face it together, as a team, as friends, as a living example of what's possible when the galaxy truly comes together." And with that, Zara Chen, once an outsider, now a cosmic champion, stood ready to help guide the galaxy into a new age of harmony, understanding, and endless possibility.